Kia ora and welcome back to my channel. My name's Carla and you're watching me in sunny old New Zealand. it's summer here. I'm just about to have a go at making a project bag in a slightly different design, and as I figure it out and have a play, I thought I would document it with a video. And if you guys want to have a go, you can. So let's get started. Right, so I've got this fabric, which is an old, I can't remember the name of the type of material it is, but you can sort of see it's very textured. Very 1960s. Anyway, it's a vintage tea towel, and I thought it would make a lovely wee project bag. So the project bag that I want to make is going to have a circular base and then a gathered body. So the first thing I want to do is figure out the size of the base. Now this is quite a thick fusible interfacing, and I think I'm just gonna, it's been folded up, it should have been rolled, but it's been folded up. So I'm just going to use a section that is creased. So I've just got a pencil, and this is just some scrap of some bias binding that I've made, and I'm going to do it like this. So I'm just going to pop this in the center, and I'm just going to go around, and hopefully it's a close enough circle. Can you see that? I actually just made the circle a little bit smaller. So I thought that's going to be too big, because what I'm doing is I'm making the interfacing, it's going to be about 1 centimetre around the whole thing, around the whole circumference, smaller than the fabric, because I don't want lots of bulk in the seam allowance. I'll show you what I mean. So, just right. So if you have a look, you can see I'm going to do that there. I'm going to fuse this to the fabric. Then I'm going to cut 1 centimetre around the edge. And then I'm going to cut another circle exactly the same size as this fabric piece, and that's going to be the lining. It's quite important when you're using fusible interfacing not to do too much of this sort of motion, because you can cause it to wrinkle. So you really just want to press it rather than iron it. Right, let's just check this other side, make sure, yeah, it's gone on nice there. So now on this side I can do this. Right, let's cut this edge. I'm just using my eye because I've got a pretty good, I'm going about 12 mils. 12 millimeters, which is about ½ inch. I'm not being perfect. I just want to remove bulk from the seam allowance when I go to sew it. If you don't feel confident, you can just measure it and then cut. But I find that my eye is not too bad. Right, so that is our base. Time to find some calico. I'm not sure what happened there. I don't know where my lot of calico is. I must have lent it to my daughter maybe. So all I'm going to do, I've got this cotton here. It's just got a very faint, I think that'll be fine. This is a second-hand piece that I've got at some stage, so I'm just going to press it. Right, and I'm just going to place it on here and just quickly put around the edge. There we go. Right. So our next move is going to measure the circumference of the circle, and I'm going to use my handy dandy tape measure because it's flexible and we don't need an exact number, so this is going to work out fine. So I'm going to start at this yellow or mustard point, so I remember, and I'm just going to go like this, just so I've got kind of an idea. Like I say, you don't have to be exact because you're going to be adding some. So I've got 76 centimeters, so I'm going to add 3/4. So let's just have a look here. Right, so I've decided to go with 50%. So so that's 76. So if I go about 37, 37.5, will be close enough. So if I go 37.5 on top of 76, oh my god, if I go about 115, I reckon 115 would be okay. So turn my fabric around this way. We're going to go, hopefully we've got 115. We might just have to modify that because we're just working with scrap here. Yeah, so that's 109. So I'm just going to work with that. That'll be fine. I don't want too much gather, and that's what kind of put me off that. I'm going to work with this middle section of fabric though, because over here it's probably a bit hard for you to see, but there's a bit of a stain there. I have washed it, so the stain is there. So what we're going to do is get my scissors. That's the stain there. And I'm just going to go like this. By tearing it like that, all it does is kind of gives you a nice straight line, because it's actually just tearing it along the weave. So I can still use this, but just not that tiny little section. You can really see the brown stain on it. So now I have to decide how deep I'd like my project bag to be. So if you think about it, so that's it sitting on the ground, and it's going to be sort of going under slightly to the circle. I reckon about that deep would probably be quite good. And if I add another 10 centimetres to that, that'll be enough to give me a casing. So that's what we're going to do. So I said that plus 10. I'm just going to Right, so now I've got two pieces of fabric, the lining and the outside, and they're both oh, you'll have to excuse my brain, they're both the same size. Right, I've got both pieces here. I'm just using this thread that's already in the machine from my last project. Not too worried about it on this white, because this is going to be inside and most of it's inside stitching anyway. So the first thing we're going to do is sew the gathering threads for the bottoms, and then we're going to sew the side seam, and I'll show you what I mean. Let's do this. So I've got my stitch length at the longest length straight stitch, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 lines of stitching along the bottom. I'm just going to leave about 1 centimetre to allow for the seam allowance along here. Okay, so I'll do my first line at about 6 millimetres. My foot's stuck under there. Sewing machine foot playing up. You don't do a reverse stitch when you're gathering, you're just going to sew, because you need the ends to be nice and free so you can pull the top thread. I always recommend doing 2 lines of stitching for your gathering, because it just makes it a more stable gather. And so now I'm doing another 6mm to that stitching, or 12mm across. So that means that when I do my seam of 1 centimetre, it's going to fall right between the line of gathering stitches. Right, I'm just returning the stitch length back to normal, which is about 2.5. And now I'm just trying to figure out which is the right side, I think. Yeah, I think we'll work with that one. So now just pulling these gathering threads out of the way. Now you can pin yours together at the side seam. I'm not going to bother because as like that. It's going to line it up. Then I'm going to sew it with a 1 centimetre seam allowance. Right. Okay, so we're going to start with this one first. You can start with any one you want first. And I'm going to pull it inside out. No. Oh, it's already inside out. What a dork. Right. So hopefully you can see this. Just looking for my two gathering threads. Right. Now just gently pull those tight and work the fabric along. I hope you can see that. I'm just going to keep doing this until I get to what I think is close to the circle, and then we'll just readjust it to the size of the circle. Right, so I've roughly gathered it to what I think would be close. Now, what I've done is I've marked, before I started gathering, I marked quarter points. So half, quarter, quarter. And the same on the circle, just so I know that my gathers are going to be evenly distributed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to match the furthest that halfway. Oh God, my words. Right, and I match that to this pink mark here, and I'm going to pin on the gathered side, because when I sew gathers or anything with gathers, I always sew with the gathers facing up so I can keep an eye on them. Right, so if I move this around like this, that's my quarter mark there, but that's the quarter there. So we're going to relax this slightly. Here's our quarter mark there. Yeah, so I just need to relax it slightly more. And this is why you start from the furthest point away from where your gathering threads start and finish, because you can just release it. So where did I mark it? There. We need to get that to there. So we've got a little bit to release. So we're just going to just gently tease it back out. So let's just roughly do this. That. That's my mark there. Perfect. Right. So can you see how the two lines of gathering have made it more stable? If there was just one, it would be all puckery and it's just harder to control. Right, now this is Right, it's time to remove this inside. I'll show you. This inside gathering thread, you can just see. Can you see that on the inside? So just that one that's on the inside of the so I'm just going to snip one of the threads at this end. Just going to make it a little bit easier when I'm pulling it. I'm not having to pull it around the whole length. I'm just going to pull. Trim all those off now. And let's just go in here. So I'll just grab that end and I'm just going to go like this. That. I'll do the same thing on this side. Yep, already got the end there, like that. So when we pull it in this way, you'll see you can just pull that. Right, so that's the bum of that bag. Let's just get some of these loose threads. So that's the frayed. Right, that's the inside. And we're just going to do the same thing on this one. So that's there. I'm just going to find you'd think I would have worn my my glasses. I'm still not used to using my my reading glasses for things like this, and I should, because I really need them now. But anyway, I've been using them for reading, but not always for working in here. Let's get this side. That one didn't want to play the game. It snapped. Snappity snapped. Right. Where is my... So I just need a slightly thicker darning needle will do. Just something a little bit blunt to get in here and pull that gathering thread without catching the thread of the fabric. There's one bit. Yes. I'll do that. Yep. Just need to do a bit here. Do not fall. I normally get it to come out all in one go, but what do they say? Not today. Not today. I think I'm almost done. I have. We'll have a look on the inside. Oh, the outside, I should say. It's just a bit of rogue thread. Yep. It's the gathering stitch there. Some bobbin thread there. Some threads that have escaped, caught from the there you go. Right, next stop is to figure out what I'm going to do with the top. While I've been doing this, I've been running through a few things in my head, so we'll have to think about that. Okay, so I've folded the bag in by about 5 centimeters, roughly 2 inches. And then I've marked at about 1 inch away from each end, I've marked for a buttonhole, and the same at each end on the other side. And I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. So this is my buttonhole foot, and I don't know if you can see on the fabric here, but that's sort of the length I want for my drawstring. So what I'm going to do is I'm lining the red mark with the top, and then I'm going to make it about 1 inch long, okay? 2.5 centimeters for us metric people. Right. Right, so this is the top of the liner, and I'm going to cut it down by 4 centimetres. So all I'm going to do is just mark. This is my auntie's old school ruler, but it'll do 4. Right, and then I'm just going to right. Right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew. Let's just move this up a little bit. I'm going to sew the tops of each one right around, but I'm going to leave a gap, say maybe about that much, which is about 10-12 centimetres, and that's so I can fold it in the right way, if that makes sense. You'll see. I'll be back. Done! Right. Let's pull this out. So now I'm just going to go right around the top and pin it, because I'm going to sew a line around here and just a little bit of one across the top. I'll show you. Right, so I've sewed a line of stitching along there, and that's also caught the opening that I left and shut that. And I've done just a line of stitching across the top too, just to tidy that up. So my next move is to get a quick unpick. I'm just going to open the buttonhole. You need to do half of it there. I'm not going through anything else. Right, and then on this side. I never go all the way to the end because sometimes you can overrun the end, so I just sort of start at one end, go halfway, and then start at the other and go halfway. There's a hot tip, because man, I have done it before where I have completely ripped open a buttonhole. This is the wonky one, but it's not going to matter. Really not going to stress about it. This is only for me, it's not for anyone else. There you go. Oh, I managed to make a hole on the other side. See, it's not being careful, but like I say, done. Right, let's go and find some cord. I found this cord in my little drawer of requirement. I think that'll do. So I'm just going to thread it through and I'll show you what I'll do with it. I've got this type of bodkin thing. You just do this. Just going to pull it. And it's got little teeth in it. Just pull it tight. And we're going to go through this one. Go all the way around. So we're just going to go down here. We don't need to go in there. We're just going to pretend that those buttonholes down that end don't exist for this purpose. Right, so we don't want too much length. We want to be able to pull out the bag and just have a little bit of overhang. So I'm going to go like that. And you're just going to knot it. Then we'll do the other side. So we've threaded from that end. So now, here's my other long bit. And do the exact same thing, but we're going to thread through the other end. So we go through here. So when we get to this buttonhole at the other end, we're just going to bypass it, not go through it. And we're just going to carry on until we get down to this end. Out there. Right, so we're going to have the same situation. It's going to go like that. Tie that. Now, the next little bit I'm going to do is some of this scrappy stuff. This piece here. Where's my scissors? Right. So we're just going to make some little end stoppers for the right. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to poke this into here, and we're going to sew across here, and same on the other side. There she blows. Here's our little tabs. Are they cute? Bag opens up just like that. Goes up just like that. Pretty happy. Here's the bum. Right, so that was me thinking on my feet and trying to figure out how to do this. Looks good. I'm going to take it inside now and put some knitting in it. Catch you guys later. Bye.